ideas. So many swirling ideas that I'm gonna have to talk about it. Gonna have to talk about it, motherfucker. Even though I don't really wanna. But if you insist, I will. You're gonna have to beg a little louder than that because I can't hear you. Now, I guess I can. I guess I can talk about this stuff. You know what this stuff is about? God. It basically is. I've been thinking. I've been pondering. One person's understanding as to their own struggle can manifest into a God. And many can worship it that afterward. So in this case for myself, and then we can branch out a little bit. The idea of, okay, so as an example, what I'm trying to say is we manifest our own God through the struggles that we have in our own lives. And sometimes in that, we can create a reality of a God for multitudes of people. I believe God is always at work, and we just stopped writing the story of the Bible down. And the idea of the way God spoke to these people is merely but, I wouldn't say speculation, but more of, it's not exactly what really happened, but God was there in fact. And these people did exist and did these great things. It's just the Bible takes it and encapsulates it in the struggle of the Jewish people, the Israelis, or whatever they want to call themselves. That seems to be what that is. That's just an etching of time. But it's still happening to this day. And that's why the idea of Muhammad and the Muslims and all that shit is just as relevant. Because he spoke to that fucking person, and that fucking person did that shit, and now a bunch of people follow him. It's all the same. All of it's the exact fucking same thing. He's constantly doing it. He's been doing it ever since, most likely. Because, here's what I'm thinking. Manifesting God and then being followed by that manifestation. Talking to Jacob the other day, he brought up a great point of me not wanting to take, we could just say credit for things, or wanting to be considered in the conversation of things happening. I try to put myself in the background on purpose because I don't want to take either ownership to the situation, I don't want to be noticed in the situation, or just the idea of taking some sort of hard stance, if you will. Because that would mean participating. So there's this fear of that. So whenever I have a realization of a higher thing that I've done, I'll always credit God. Or other people. Like God up here and then down here, other people. I'll always credit them, like, oh, well, this was their idea, that was theirs, and it was God who gave me the idea to do this, and blah, blah, blah. That's what I've always done. And so because of that, what I'm doing is I'm creating a concept of God is guiding this understanding. And so in that, let's say I get crazy and I go fucking religious and I say that I'm a new prophet or some shit, and then I go that route, and let's just say for some reason people follow all that. Is that not the idea of how a religion can be born from that? I gave credit to something else because I'm too unwilling to take that into myself. Because of some deep, dark things that happened in my life that led me to not wanting to be noticed or take a stance. So you create a God, and this God becomes some sort of specter, which is enveloped in the emotion that you so were in that moment. So this grief, this sorrow, this God can take on this. And so we have this manifestation of these emotions. Let's say I capture, we're going to keep going hypothetical. I capture this essence of I'm not worthy of anything, and he makes it all. But through me, he works. Well, what I'm doing is through that, I'm putting a name to the emotion which I suffer. And now that I'm putting a name to the emotion in which I suffer, or the deficiency finally embodied, and that means you created some sort of godlike being. And these godlike beings are these people of aid, these people of help. And so in that helping, you could see why there was so many deities. Like, possibly, is what I'm curious about, is going back throughout history and seeing every single god that's ever been manifested by man's mind was manifested by these, either a single person, I'm wondering, or a group of people. But what were they attempting? What was it in which they struggled with that they gave this god a name to? Because I think it's clever, and I just realized, John Lennon's quote, God is a concept in which we measure our pain. It's similar to that, but it's the idea in which he becomes that very pain that which we measure ourselves to. And it can be, it wouldn't so much be in a small way and saying like, God is the answer to my queries or troubles, but it is indeed the embodiment of those troubles in which you were seeking out. Because, possibly when you're seeking out your own traumas and all that, we tend to make the world around us the traumas that we carry within us. And so when we do that, and our low self-esteem can equate grand movements of our life into a being that we consider a God, well, within that, we could say that that being does manifest itself as that God. But it hides itself in the emotion in which you've kind of placed it. If that makes any sense. Don't know. Just something that I thought about today. It's very, very clever. Not that I've come up with it. I just mean like, if indeed that is something that I'm noticing, and hopefully not just making up, it would be very clever if that's what we were doing as a people. And I'm not trying to say like, yeah, that's why I think God doesn't exist. Like, that's not my point. The point is, I think what we would ever understand as God has never been sought out by mankind correctly. We just equate it to the things that you've ever heard about God. That's all it is. You're never going to hear the reality of the situation. And so, because of that, I'm always kind of seeking, let me think of this, like, I'm always seeking what exactly is the reality of the situation, right? Just like anyone else who is a truth seeker. So in that, I'm thinking, well, the idea of the spirits. I made a video some time ago. I think it was in search of the middle spirits. It was when it was just, I was doing audio. I didn't have a camera. And that's kind of been a journey in which the book is, I'm exploring in the book. Because it was my understanding that these spirits are emotions, embodied emotions. So imagine a spirit of joy, a spirit of sorrow, a spirit of, I don't know, love or fear or some shit. Just emotions that humans have. I was always under the assumption that these emotions were like spirits and we could tap into them. They were like these, I wouldn't say, well, they were like, they could take their own shape. And they live without us. But what they do is they work within us. And so they pass through each and every one of us and have in which they were imbued, which would be this single fucking emotion, let's just say. And from that, they're able to either taint or learn from the collective consciousness that they dwell in. It's like swimming in a giant bowl of our consciousness, is what these spirits are doing. And I'm saying that perhaps, with my new concept, perhaps in that swimming of our minds, are they created in a godlike image? And that's where we have this kind of, I'm going to consider a lesser deity. So, in other words, Saneu. Saneu is one of the beings that you watched me kind of unravel in the past, I don't know, week or so. And I talked to Jacob about it too a little bit more. And we're finally starting to put together the idea of what the spirits may be. because I have another spirit that I've not talked about a whole lot, I don't think. And that spirit is Anvir. Anvir has just been known as the Dream Hunter. Anvir is the embodiment of the one that hunts with utter surety. What exactly this emotion is, I can't say. And the same for Seneu. I don't really know exactly, like, what is your major emotion that you're trying to convey? I don't know, but I do know that they are indeed these lesser deities, these beings that move within the minds of the people and the consciousness. They are the ones to bring up to the idea of what the Creator's will is. So through the Creator's will, you must obtain that through these lesser beings. These lesser beings help you find the pathway up through the maze that is this, what we swim in the consciousness. And after that is the level of the Creator. So that's kind of what I'm thinking it is. So like Seneu is going to be prevalent in the coming books now. Now that I've discovered him. I've already thought about him. Like he's going to be this thing. He's my Yoda, essentially. I have to use him as his tool just as much as he's been using, like in my real life, this idea. Okay. Now what do I word this stuff? Because it already sounds insane, everything I'm saying. I'm trying to say, I'm staying a little bit in character with the book. Everything that I've had happen in my life, I try to equate it to the book, and I take it there, and I'll start talking about it in book world. So it does come across as real. So just keep that in mind with everything I just said and what I'm going to keep saying. But anyway, Seneu would be like this being that will help you ascend. He's much different than a prophet, like a Ravian spell song. Ravian's spell song was just a descendant of Odysseus, who was carrying on the prophecy of the ascendancy that they have there. Now, Seneu is a being a tier above that. Seneu would be something that was manifested in the making with Dove and the Forgotten King. In some way, some shape, or some form. They are eerily similar to the Nenirin. The Nenirin would be the people that watch over. It's a very, like, I guess, like if you were to say tiers, you know, if you want to call it that, they're like really close to them. But the Nenirin came from the other world. They came from outside, so they have a different origin, but they almost service the same purpose. I think that idea is these beings, these spirits, are the masks that we can put on. And because of the concept I said in the beginning, that we create the mask, essentially, we create the emotion that becomes the God. Well, these spirits, as I said in the middle part, these spirits are the actual manifestation of emotions, living subjective lives. That's the mask that we created within ourselves. When we put it on, this mask helps us in seeing the Creator. So let me lay it out simply from the beginning. We as human beings, we make God in our struggles. We give God what we cannot. I struggle with taking credit for things and wanting to take part of life and being a part of it with everyone else. So what I do is I say it's God doing it if I do something that's great. I'm creating this emotion, spirit. Now that is me, it's in my sorrow, it is in my sadness that I make it. So that's the spirit. But when I access this thing that I've made, God is helping me do this because I'm not good enough, I put the mask on. That mask allows me to see God now. It actually shows me his visage. And so now we can truly grasp him through this. So the middle spirits, as I'm coining them, are the masks. And that's the masks of the ancients. Huh. I've been trying to figure out the Masks of the Ancients for fucking years. Since 2012, I was like, what are the Masks of the Ancients? For some reason, it was just a thing that came to my mind, like, what is that? What would that be? The Mask of the Ancient. Holy shit, dude. And that's what the Men of Stone have. Dude, that's nuts. Oh my god. I wish I could explain to you, like, when you have an idea here, and you just, like, it sits for so many years, and all of a sudden you actually stumble upon something weird, and you're like, wait a minute, and then it all connects. Like, holy shit, this all connects. We can move this out of the factory line now. I found the missing piece. It's a weird feeling. It's something that I want Eris to explore in the next book. He needs to find the answers, and through that, he needs to be taught that. Holy fuck, dude. That's crazy to me. Forgive me for being like, what is he talking about? If I were to put the hours and hours of sessions that me, Kevin, and Jacob had, where we all sat down and worked on it, which I've thought about doing, if we put all those hours out and you got to listen in at us trying to construct shit, and us talking about stuff and planning and working and planning, each session was 4 hours long at least, then you'd probably have a glimpse into like why it can be like mind altering to finally come up with a something. Finally solving the middle spirits is a breakthrough for me. And it all came from, see, this is why, I know it goes back to exactly what I'm saying, that I give everyone else credit, but it's fucking true. If it wasn't for Jacob coming over to the house and hanging out with me and then talking to me and kind of relenting some of the things he noticed about me, if he did not do that, this moment wouldn't happen, where the revelation of the book just took another step. That's why I'm always giving people credit, because it's just like, you fucking helped and you made this possible. It wasn't, I don't want to say, oh, that was all me. And is that the middle spirit? Is that, and Nanirin, and like the fucking the Mask of the Ancient and all, like, is that all mine? Yes, that's all mine. But it's other people that help me find the connection, because I have such low self-esteem that I can't do it myself. Because I'm like, well, surely I'm not good enough at this. I need to kind of be pushed to be able to do stuff, and like, it's really cool. That's why I'm happy to work with other people, work with Jacob and Kevin, because like, if it wasn't for them, I don't even know what I'd be doing at all. I don't even know. I have no concept of like what it would be by myself if I didn't have those two guys. Like, they're the reason that I do what I do. They make everything that I do so much easier. They help me when I fall, and they like help me realize things that I am either unwilling to or incapable of admitting. It's very cool to like have people that are like that, willing to help you. But you got to think, it's like kind of strange that I have this book, this world that I'm doing, and I'm, in all rights I should be doing it alone, but they're willing so much to jump in and help out. In some way you could say that they must see that I really need them. You know what I mean? It must be very obvious to them, like, he needs help in this. Not like I'm weak or something, but just like, it has to be, because why else would you be helping? It's very interesting. It really, really is. Just what we've been accomplishing. Because I always sit and I ponder in my head, like, what can this be? What can that be? And everything I do is wrapped around the book. Clearly, you watch it every video. Anything that happens to me, anything I talk about will all just, like, oh, in the book. Like, I'll just put it in there. I had the weird fucking dreams. That had nothing to do with the book. I'm finding a way to, like, well, I'm going to make them. You know what I mean? Like, that's part of it. That's the lore now. Which got me thinking. Yesterday, I finished the edit. The book has been edited to my satisfaction so far, I should say. A first real good edit. The last 10 pages, my heart was racing. I was kind of just like freaking out, and it was so intense for me. I don't know if it's because I was finishing it or because the scene was so chaotic. I had to put it down, and I had to just fucking relax. I was just like, this is like too much. I gotta go just fucking, this is a lot. And as I sat there by myself in silence, I realized something that me and Jacob talked about. Which, let me put it in here, actually, since it has to do with me. It doesn't have to do with him, so I'm okay with people knowing about this. I always was the guy that I would just watch. Like in school, at home, I would just be watching. Me too. I didn't know how to participate.
Do you have a bass guitar?
No, not here.
Fuck. Me too. I didn't learn how to do shit until I was like 16.
Yeah, mine was about mid-20s. When I met Billy and Ken was the first time I realized that I need to try to find who I am. And it's been a search ever since. And so, the only reason I really got into music was to help others. To try to help myself, apparently. If that makes sense. According to that, what you said. Because I wanted to play music, but I was so scared to make music. Make my own music.
Well, because if something comes out that's ugly or nasty.
Yeah, it's scary. It is very scary to make music. And I'm still scared to sing. Because I'm like, God, what is it going to be? Same with all the art stuff. It's very... I don't tell people about the book very often. When I do, I have to completely trust them. Like, I just told my boss that I've been working with since 2010 that I'm doing this. Just told her like a week ago. I'm like, yeah. I didn't go into the detail. I'm like, I'm working on a book. Oof.
And I feel like that's a big part of where you struggle with giving Eris direction.
Yeah.
And what's he going to do and what's his motivation.
Oh, yeah.
Because so like, somebody did an analysis on the Disco Elysium page, right? Of that the politics are about social projection in terms of the character. And naturally, like 400, 600 people immediately responded negatively, kind of giving the comment validity. But it classified fascism as appearing strong, communism as appearing compassionate, centrism as appearing intelligent, and ultraliberalism as appearing free. And that those are the things your character wants to believe he is when he partakes in these things.
Mm.
And that's kind of similar to like, you call yourself apolitical. Dude, you have Nazbol views.
Nazbol.
That's what, like, kind of what I am. National Bolshevism.
Okay.
The notion of like, yeah, we should have a system that's compassionate to people, but it should be for us first. Like, why would I need to take care of my people before I take others.
Yeah.
I want to take care of them. I don't believe in the rustic individualism of like modern capitalism.
Right.
I don't believe in the techno-feudalism. I believe we should be free from all that bullshit. But we shouldn't just be handing it out. We earn this.
Yeah.
And other people who don't earn it are going to ruin it. You have a hardline political view, but putting that out there would, I guess, make you not accountable, but it would mean you'd have to be on the line for it.
Yeah.
And that sucks. And is a person who's been doing it for a long time, there's a lot of painful moments to it, and you see them coming. They're obviously painful. I know exactly how smart I am. Not infinitely. Not infinitely smart. Sometimes I just go, fuck you, and just...
Yeah.
It's the same thing with religion. It's very easy to commit when you don't think about it, but once you become aware that religion is an implication of picking a side.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's where, for me, I've always hardlined a side because now I don't have to think about it again. I don't have to choose again. And that's what I'm having to confront is, like, what I believed when I was 18, 19 is not true anymore, universally.
Yeah. It's true.
And for you, I think it's been, if I don't partake in this, it can't hurt me.
Yeah. That's for sure. So he helped me realize that part of the story. And the whole journey, what Eris is. And he was right. Eris had no direction because I didn't either. I never did. I never had a hard-line thing that I should believe or want to believe in. I was merely at the whim of it, even as I was writing it. And the way the book ends, it's so crazy. It's like, you think, like, I realized it when I finish it, but I didn't until fucking yesterday. I was like, holy fuck. I think I have a direction. And I think the book finally has a direction too. And so here we go. And it was mind-blowing. You know, it had to do with this weird Cernunnos shit, to which I'm saying Seneu, and it had to do a lot with like these dreams and stuff, and it had to do with realizing that, and me and his conversation led me to the idea of what the spirits may be, and I fucking figured it out, as you saw, in real time. But then I just realized, like, we fucking together are solving this, and we're moving together. And that's what's really fucking cool about it all. It's really interesting to see that all play out for you. Finally, a purpose. That's what I'll call this.